March 25th, 2024. You know what this is the week of? We start this week with a lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipses are a big deal. They're full moons, and they're charged full moons. They are full moons on steroids, we could say. And we know that people get a little bit crazy on the full moon. We know that there's a little bit of lunacy on the full moon, and it gets a little bit more on an eclipse. Importantly, though, we have to kind of keep this in mind. The full moon eclipse we all feel it. We all feel the energy. And I have a video, and you should just go to the page and just scroll down till you find it. It's pretty far down now, but I have a video on eclipses. But the thing is, around eclipse time, we get a little bent out of shape. We see things out of proportion. They're telling us what is important for us, and they genuinely are important things, but we see them out of proportion. We're not seeing them the way we should see them. We're seeing them through a fisheye mirror. We see them expanded. And so the eclipse time, say Sunday the 24th, Monday the 25th, Tuesday the 26th, maybe even the 27th. Well, we're really in eclipse season all the way through till the solar eclipse on April 8th, and then we wind down over the course of the next 2 weeks up to the full moon. We wind down to the full moon that is going to happen on, I want to say April 22nd. So we're going to be in the midst of eclipse season for a while, but the full moon lunar eclipse is probably the most dramatic moment of the whole season for many of us. And so right around this time, right, in the week of this forecast, whether you're watching it a little before the eclipse or a bit after, this is one of the more charged times. We don't get down anywhere near baseline for more than a month, but we're kind of, well, for almost a month, but we're kind of feeling one of the peaks of it. The good thing about a lunar eclipse, everything happens right away. We don't have to wait for it. This is not a see what's going to happen type of thing. If there's something to happen, it happens right away. This is not a matter of, like, we're not seeding anything for the future or anything like that. This is happening, in real time. And if there's any events in the world that are associated with it, we're definitely someplace between Sunday the 24th and Tuesday the 26th. We'll see it happening then. You do not have to wait with a lunar eclipse. Again, you might be a little bit over the top about things. You might be a little bit excited about things that'll reach a kind of a peak. But, if there's anything that's coming out, it's coming out. If you have placements very near the eclipse degrees, which is 5 degrees Aries is where the sun is, and 5 degrees Libra is where the moon is. If you're right in there, you're most likely to get the full force of the eclipse, and things will be really moving for you. Do not assume that this is a bad thing. Don't think, oh my gosh, this is bad. It's an active time. It is a time where there's likely to be changes. Something new might come up for you and all of that, but it's not, you can't look and say, well, it was a bad thing that's happening because we're having the eclipse or something like that. It doesn't work like that. It's active, but it's not necessarily bad. And, reasonably speaking, you could think about how you want things to work for you at this time. You still have that ability to control things and move things in different directions and so on. That doesn't go away because it's eclipse season. So keep that in mind as well. Still in all, we have a very charged period of time over here, not likely to feel all that cool and quiet. Be aware that lots of people are going to be a little extra for sure. And, you might, if you see somebody being a little too much, you kind of got to get out of their way. Building up to all things being equal, building up to the full moon on the weekend ought to be kind of fun, kind of good. The moon will be in Virgo as it builds up there, so it's a little bit more of a reserve. Here in the New York area, we're predicting torrential rains, which seems just about right for, building to the full moon, but we're in the sign of Virgo as we build there. So maybe we'll just have to sort of keep our expectations in check a little bit. But this is this is not a particularly bad energy. The weekend should be pretty good. As again, some people get a little overexcited, some people get a little hot under the collar, but that's not necessarily you. If you're right at those degrees, 5 degrees of Aries Libra, maybe you get a little bit more, but it's not necessarily that you're going to be feeling one way or the next. Just like something may pop out for you. You may get some news, let's call it, or something along those lines. Okay, what else is going on? Well, Mars, since the 22nd, since Friday the 22nd, Mars has entered into Pisces, left Aquarius, where he's ready to fight for a cause, maybe more ready to fight than than for the cause. And he has gone into the sign of Pisces. Mars in Pisces, high energy and low energy. It's a sort of flip-flop between absolutely uncontained, beyond all boundaries on the one hand, and then on the other hand, a kind of just letting go of things. Okay. Mars is building. We're not there yet. This is April 1st. Mars is building towards his opposition to partnership asteroid Juno. And towards the end of this week, towards March 31st, 30th, 30, towards the weekend coming, we'll get a little bit of that energy in there. That could be a little bit of, it would energize existing partnerships, right? That's essentially the way we'd look at it. It'll energize existing partnerships. It's Pisces, we have two fish, so for better or for worse, for more or for less, we will have that energy streaming through on the weekend. We're also really, really close to Mercury's station to retrograde on April 1st, which means that, again, the back end of this week, the 29th, 30th, 31st, the 27th, the whole week, really, we are deep in the shadow of Mercury's retrograde. And so we're already at a point in time when, it would be a really good idea to, adopt the Mercury retrograde rules of not buying new books and electronics or cars, and watching out when you sign contracts and things like that. It's a little bit more of that. We're already feeling that Mercury retrograde stuff. Back up your computer and things like that. You gotta start getting ready for that Mercury retrograde already this week. This is a good time to start practicing as though Mercury was already retrograde. If you do mercurial things this week, you may find that sometime next week or in the coming weeks, you wind up with a mishap and something has to get redone. It's not Mercury retrograde yet, but it's close enough. We have another interesting thing happening in terms of retrogrades, though. Pallas Athene, the truth teller asteroid, the deliverer of inconvenient truths. I was going to say uncomfortable, but inconvenient and uncomfortable truths, is going to station to retrograde on the 29th. So Pallas Athene stations on March 29th, and then Mercury stations on the April 1st. These are both sort of communicator asteroids. Pallas Athene being the goddess of wisdom, but this is the goddess with a spear. Remember, this is not the pleasant kindergarten teacher or anything like that. This is the you better listen kind of energy. And so when Pallas Athene is very, very strong in the sky at her retrograde, and Mercury is very strong at his retrograde point, we kind of get this sort of dual combination on communication. Mercury is more about the form of communication and messages going awry because the form isn't communicated, is somehow or another not quite right. Pallas Athene, more about content. more about content. And we might see that this is a time when we get some content that has come out, some groundbreaking news has to be revised right around the end of this coming week as Pallas Athene stations to retrograde. So it's form and content is a double dose over here, and we're likely to see that indeed, with the exaggerated energy of eclipse season, some folks have come out and said, made bold statements, and then they may need to backtrack on them, or they may have been misunderstood and so on. Likely to happen in the collective, potentially happen in our personal lives as well. Okay, that's an overview of the week. We also have some relationship aspects that are quite strong this week. Venus and Uranus. Venus in Pisces, where she is just as happy as can be, will be getting into a relationship into an aspect with Uranus in her home sign of Taurus, and that suggests the ability to sort of innovate and change and make changes to our relationships in a way that is more or less harmonious. It's an easy change. I'm sick and tired of doing this every Wednesday. I'm sick and tired of it too. Let's do something different. You know, Making changes, trying new things, and generally speaking, it's easy to bring about changes. All right, next week, April Fools.